In today's modern society, cameras are now everywhere, with selfies playing a large role in social media. Whenever we log into our social media accounts, there's a good chance we'll come across at least one selfie in our feed. We all know someone who's taken the odd selfie, or even selfies on a daily basis. You would think selfies are pretty harmless. However, the following are 6 terrifying murder cases with disturbing selfies that tell a shocking story. Number 6. Maxwell Marion Morton. On Friday the 4th, 2015, 2 16-year-old friends, Maxwell Marion Morton and Ryan Mangan, were having a night at Morton's house near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Maxwell alleged that the two were playing with a 9mm handgun while Mangan was supposed to take a picture of Morton aiming the gun at him. It was at this shocking moment when Morton aimed the gun at his friend's face and pulled the trigger. What makes this case utterly horrifying is that after shooting his friend, Morton took a selfie, which he uploaded to Snapchat. In this selfie, Morton can be seen smiling while his dead friend lies behind him. The caption on the photo said Maxwell. A friend took a screenshot of the photo and quickly contacted police. The selfie taken was the key evidence sentencing Morton, and he was charged with first-degree murder. Another piece of evidence was a text he had sent to a friend which read, "Told you I cleaned up the shells," and Ryan was not the last one. Bizarrely, Morton said the shooting was accidental. The full picture has not been released to the media. Number 5. Dennis Rader. Between 1974 and 1991, well-known US serial killer Dennis Rader terrorized the streets of Wichita, Kansas. Rader claimed the lives of 11 men, women and children. Because of Rader's murder ritual, he nicknamed himself Bind, Torture, Kill, aka BTK. As well as tying up his victims, Rader also practiced bondage on himself. After his arrest, police found a stash of pictures of Rader dressed up in his victims' clothes. In this disturbing selfie, he can be seen wearing a mask. In some of the pictures, Rader tied himself up in his parents' basement, strung himself up from a tree, or disturbingly partially buried himself in a shallow grave. Rader is currently serving 10 life sentences at the El Dorado Correctional Facility in Kansas. Number 4. Daniela Poggiali. In Lugo, Italy, 42-year-old nurse Daniela Poggiali worked at a hospital. Other nurses she worked with said she was hard-working but vindictive. One nurse stated that Poggiali was known to give laxatives to elderly patients at the end of her shift in order to make an unpleasant and difficult time for the nurses on the next shift. However, during October 2014, her behaviour started to become more disturbing after an autopsy was performed on a 78-year-old woman who had died suddenly. The test showed that she had died from potassium overdose, and the only person who could administer this drug was Poggiali. After police looked over her records, they discovered a 3-month period in which 38 patients had died out of 86 patients Poggiali was caring for. Poggiali was eventually arrested for the murder of the 78-year-old woman. However, her co-workers stated that she would kill any patient she found annoying. To make this murder case even more unsettling, police found photos of Poggiali posing with people who had recently died. Police are still investigating 87 deaths at the hospital during the 2-year span that Poggiali worked at the hospital. Currently, she was awaiting trial. Number 3. Russell Williams. Russell Williams was the commander of a Canadian Forces base and a decorated colonel in Trenton, Ontario. However, Williams had a dark fantasy life that involved breaking into young women's homes and putting on their undergarments and lingerie. Disturbingly, he would take pictures of himself wearing the clothing. However, when this wasn't enough to satisfy him, Williams moved on to murder. In November 2009, Williams broke into the home of a colleague, 37-year-old Corporal Marie-France Camaro. During his first visit, he took 18 pictures of himself in her underwear. He returned to the home a second time on November the 24th and hid in her basement before murdering Marie France that night. Russell Williams documented that horrible night on film and pictures. A second woman was murdered by Williams a few months later. 1 week after the second murder, Williams was stopped at a roadside checkpoint. However, it was then police noticed that Williams' tyres were similar to the tracks left at Lloyd's home. Just 3 days later, he finally admitted to the murders. Upon investigating Williams' home, they found 2 hard drives containing pictures and his detailed documentation of his criminal activities. Williams pleaded guilty to 88 charges, including 2 first-degree murders, and was sentenced to 2 life terms in prison. Number 2, Bugsid McLean. On February the 26th, 2013, a dog found a human leg. It was wrapped in a garbage bag inside a duffel bag in a pile of trash in the Bronx. After police searched the area, they discovered more body parts in 3 other locations. The body parts were found to belong to 45-year-old Tanya Bird. Clues eventually led detectives to make an arrest: her son, 23-year-old Bugsid McLean. They believe McLean stabbed his mother in the neck before dissecting the body with a friend. McLean even took a smiling selfie while holding his mother's severed head. McLean was charged with the murder, and his friend was charged with dismembering the body. The case has yet to go to trial, and to this day McLean still states he did nothing wrong. Number 1, Tyler Hadley. On July the 16th, 2007, 17-year-old Tyler Hadley begged district parents to let him have a party. However, they would not allow it. Hadley decided to solve the problem by beating his mother and father to death with a claw hammer. Once dead, he dragged their bodies into the master bedroom and spent the next 3 hours cleaning up the blood. With the house finally cleaned, Hadley invited his friends over. Up to 60 guests were at the party, and Hadley had finally gotten his wish. His friends even said that Hadley wanted to host a second party the following night. During the course of the evening, Tyler decided to confide in his friend, Michael Mandel, about the fate of his parents, telling Mandel about the murder and even showing him their bodies. However, this did not seem to put off his friend, and Mandel hung around for another 45 minutes, taking this selfie. Mandel stated he took the picture because he knew it would be the last time he would see his best friend. Mandel eventually went home and called Crime Stoppers, and Hadley was soon arrested. He was given 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole.